Good morning, this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and I am here as usual on Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, and to talk about Stonemaier Games news, to share what we're doing behind the scenes here at Stonemaier Games, to answer your questions, and to discuss some random topics. And with that in mind, I should probably mention my chocolate of the day today. What is my chocolate of the day? I got let's see, I got some ice cream the other day that has giant chunks of chocolate in it, and now I'm totally forgetting the brand. What is the brand of this ice cream? It is, shoot. Um, it's this ice cream that I really, really like that comes with these giant chocolate chunks. Megan, can you help? Thanks. What is the brand of that ice cream? The Graders. Thank you, Megan. Graders ice cream. Yes, Graders has, they have a really good cherry and a really good, I think, blackberry, and both of them have these giant chocolate chunks in them. So that'll be my chocolate of the day later today when I have dessert. What are you treating yourself today, if you're treating yourself to special dessert? Oh, I want to mention up front as well, the shirt I'm wearing today is a shirt that I selected from the Etsy store run by Viticulture World co-designer Mihir Shah. So one of the things I'll be talking about today is Viticulture World, which we just announced last week. We've already revealed most of what's in this expansion. I'll keep it right there so we can talk about it later today. And Mahir designed this T-shirt and sells it on his Etsy store, and I really, really like it. So I wanted to share that today, and the link is in the description of this video if you want to check it out too. I don't know if you can see it, but it says if you wear this shirt, you get 5 extra victory points at the end of any game. Maybe not entirely legally, but just for fun, it is nice to have those extra 5 victory points. Carlos joins in today. He says Viticulture World looks fantastic. He can't wait to try it. He says, it brings a cool new twist into a game my family loves. The variety that comes from each continent is astounding. I agree. Yeah, that's one of the things I've been discussing over the last few days. The variety in each of the continents. I'll hold up everything in insert somewhat precariously, but there we go. You can see all the continents. The one that I haven't talked about yet is South America, and I haven't talked about the Buratino Automa system here yet, but I will soon. We only have a couple more days of design diary left. Anyway, back to Carlos's comment. He says, have you considered other expansions like this to some other Stonemaier games? I would be very excited to see cooperative expansions for Wingspan or Tapestry, or a full cooperative expansion with limited communication for Between Two Castles. You know, I have thought about it. I had mentioned it to Elizabeth for Wingspan, and so it is possible that will be the case someday. And for Tapestry, or at least a cooperative mode, not a full expansion, but a cooperative mode. And for Tapestry, I have thought about it, but I decided against it because it really is quite a challenge, and it does not work for every game. It's quite a challenge to design a cooperative version of a game that already exists. You are redesigning huge elements of that game while still trying to retain what worked in the original game. It was a huge challenge. I'm so impressed with what Francesco and Mahir did. I would say, you know, it is possible, Carlos, but I think unlikely because of how difficult it is to do that and do so successfully and do so in such a way that appeals to fans. You've already seen with the Viticulture World announcement how some people just kind of dismissed it outright because of its cooperative nature and they're used to the competitive viticulture. And that's for what I think is a very, very well-designed cooperative game. Of course, those dismissals, I think, are coming with not a lot of information about the expansion, but regardless, I think you can pull it off like Orleans Invasion did, like I think we've done in Viticulture World, and still get a bunch of people who just aren't on board for that idea. So layers and layers of complexity to pull it off, and to pull it off successfully in terms of game design and in terms of marketing. So we'll see how Viticulture World does, and then maybe that will impact future decisions in the future about cooperative expansions for competitive games. Yeah. George is having German chocolate pudding today. That sounds good. My friend Chance is joining us today. Chance, I know Chance is excited about Viticulture World. Chad says he got his Scythe disc golf disc. That's awesome, Chad. And I have news for anyone who is waiting for the disc golf disc to come back in stock because they sold out really, really quickly on April Fool's Day, even though we really did make these products. But they are now back in stock. Innova worked really, really quickly to reprint the discs because we didn't know how they would sell. We didn't start reprinting them until April Fool's Day, or really a few days later was when Innova started. And they are already back in stock on the US store. Obviously, it's going to take more time to ship from the US warehouse to our other fulfillment centers, but we are working on that now. So if you are in the US or you're not in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, or Europe, you can go to the US store right now and buy the disc golf disc. We are sending them again to other fulfillment centers around the world, and we're sending a greater variety this time to those fulfillment centers around the world as well. So yeah, if you're waiting to get more discs, they're in stock right now on our web store. Chad also mentioned this. Thanks for the quick turnaround on the disc. Yeah, some of you who are waiting for it may have gotten the back in stock notification a few minutes ago. Yeah. Cameron says, can we see the wine crate now to get a better feel for the size? Absolutely, yeah. I shrouded it in mystery last week and didn't show it. But here, I will, here, I'll hold up the box, the wine crate without the top, without the lid so you can see it. And I know there is some box rise right here. That is intentional because I've actually put the lid for the Viticulture World insert inside the box for reasons. So just to kind of, for me to easily pull things out of here. It does not actually rise up in the final organized version. So here's what the Viticulture World box looks like. You can see it kind of in comparison to, so this is the wine crate. This is Viticulture World. You can see it in comparison. Here, I don't want to tip it all over. And you can see it's dual layered, kind of like the Scythe Legendary box. I don't know if you can see it real closely, but the top goes only this far down, so you don't have to lift off this giant top. It is pretty heavy, but one thing I'm really happy about it is, even though it is big and big enough to hold all viticulture stuff, and probably all viticulture stuff if we end up making another expansion someday, it's not too big. Like, it's not unwieldy to carry to someone else's game night big, which is the realm that we're getting into. I'm looking over here at the Wingspan nesting box prototype, and it's a big box. It is something that you could carry to a game night, but it would probably be the only thing that you carry to that game night if you do it. So I kind of like this Viticulture World wine crate size that we went with. I have everything Viticulture World related within easy reach here. So if you have any questions about that stuff, let me know. I'm happy to pick it up and hold it up. And one of the things I talked about today was the first game promo pack. So if you pre-order from Stonemaier Games, pre-order the Wine Crate or Viticulture World in early June, you will get for free a first game continent promo pack. And actually, you'll get this whenever you order Viticulture World or the Wine Crate directly from Stonemaier Games. It's also available by itself, but if you put Viticulture World or the Wine Crate in your cart on one of our web stores, this will automatically be added for free to your cart as well. The reason we made this, so there's a story behind this on today's design diary, is that while playing kind of the first advanced copy back in February of Viticulture World, I played it with Megan in the introductory scenario and the easiest scenario that follows that one. And we lost both times. And I know how to play Viticulture World. I'm the designer of Viticulture. I know how to play it really well. And I realized that I think maybe we all, including the designers, but all of us who playtested the game, got a little too close to Viticulture World while playtesting it, and we kind of lost sight of the idea that the first game, the first time you play Viticulture World, it should really ease you into it, hold your hand, and make it a fairly easy to win experience. I would say a very easy to win experience. And then it kind of unleashes the rest of these continents, ranging from even from introductory to easy to medium to hard. But it was just kind of a little bit of a red flag that I couldn't win the introductory scenario of Viticulture World. And so we scrambled a little bit, and really what we did is edited the Green Gully realm, which is the introductory continent for the game, not realm, continent, into an easier pack. And we also added a card to the pack that can be added to any continent that adds essentially a 7th year. I wouldn't call it an official win if you win with a 7th year, because the game Viticulture World is 6 years long whenever you play. But it has that option where if you've played 6 years, you're so close, you're feeling good, you like what you've built, and the game is just telling you, hey, it's over now. That's the nature of the style of cooperative game. It does end after 6 years. But now there's a card that you can add where you can just say, you know, let's play one more year. Let's make this happen. We think we can finish this off and win this with one more year. And the game kind of gives you an official way to do that through this promo pack. I'm really excited about how it turned out. I appreciate the designers for being flexible to let me add this thing kind of at the last minute. And I'm excited to offer it to you with any order that you place for Viticulture World or the Wine Crate from the Stonemaier Games web store. Arnis says he just finished the first trilogy of Red Rising yesterday. He really enjoyed it, but apparently the second trilogy is not available in Dutch. Any suggestions for another book series to entertain me while I wait for the translation? I don't know. It's hard to think of a series that is quite as good as Red Rising. One One series that reminds me a little bit of it is The Expanse. Have you read The Expanse? Because The Expanse also takes place only in our solar system. It's it's not about, well, it does have some dystopian elements. It doesn't lean quite so hard into a dystopian society structure as Red Rising, not nearly as hard, but it is limited to our solar system and is, which I think is a good comparison, and it's far future. It's not, I don't think it's quite as far future as Red Rising, but yeah, The Expanse is a really good series to read as well. There's a TV series too, but I like the book series. But I'm glad you brought up Red Rising because there's something that I wanted to show you all today, and that is some people have been asking if we would make a neoprene playmat for Red Rising. And when people want us to make something, we're open to it. Like, I don't know if there's demand to make a ton of these, but we are happy to try it and see how it goes. And I had Panda make me a sample. They actually made 2 samples. This is the one that I like the best. This is a Red Rising neoprene grip mat. Grip mat means that it's not double-sided. It has a rubber on the backside. And it's just a neoprene version of the Viticulture, or sorry, the Red Rising board. You can see that the edges are double stitched, so it'll stay together for a long, long time. And yeah, you could just replace your Red Rising board with this neoprene mat. And the one big reason, you might wonder, why neoprene mat? And I always wondered the same thing. I rarely go after neoprene mats. But the reason that I think neoprene mats can be useful, and the reason that we're making one for Tapestry as well, is that it's easier to pick up cards off of neoprene than it is cardboard boards. And in Red Rising, it is a game about picking up cards off of the board. And so I think it will actually work really well. And this is, unlike the Tapestry board, which is giant and not all that cost effective, this is actually quite cost effective to make. And so we'll be able to offer it at a very reasonable price through our web store and maybe eventually through retailers. But most products that we make like this, kind of a la carte things, we just offer through our web store because it gets complicated when we enter it into distribution. But yeah, I wanted to share what we're doing with that. It does, it smells a little bit coming out of the tube, fresh out of the tube, so I get to smell it for the next hour. But I am really happy with how that turned out. And we're going to enter production pretty soon on it, so you'll probably see it this fall, maybe early, probably Q4, I'm sorry. So that's October, November, December, right around the same time that we're expecting the Wingspan expansion. Mike says, have I discussed the different artists for Viticulture versus Viticulture World? Yeah, Beth Sobel is the artist for Viticulture, and Andrew Bosley is the artist for Viticulture World. We pick different artists for different projects based on, you know, what we think is the best fit, their availability, things like that. And it was wonderful to work with both of them on this game. And Andrew was great coming in and kind of matching Beth's style. His style is already pretty similar to Beth's, but I think he did a good job of bringing her style into the game, so Viticulture World goes seamlessly with the original Viticulture. Yeah. Tim says it's looking bright in St. Louis today. You know, I didn't turn on I have a light right here that I didn't turn on today, and the lighting actually seems better without it. So I'm happy with how my camera is picking up this light. I might try to film a little bit more without that light directly on. It's actually kind of a rainy, gloomy day here, but somehow the lighting in here is pretty good in my home office. Let's see. Just scrolling through, looking for questions. I'll jump over to my topics in a second here. Kevin says, do I think Viticulture World is a good way to introduce viticulture to new players, or do I believe it makes more sense to introduce them to the competitive version of the game? I know co-op may be the obvious choice, but maybe World adds additional complexity. I think you're onto something there, Kevin. I agree that cooperative games are a great way to introduce people to games in general and to specific games. But I think for Viticulture, I think the best way to introduce someone to the game is still the original core game. Not with the Tuscany board, as I think some people believe. I respect that opinion, but I'm the designer. I'm going to say I think it is easier to grok how Viticulture works with the original board. So I would recommend teaching someone Viticulture with the original game first, and then branching off into either Tuscany or into Viticulture World after that. There are there's some differences in the way that worker placement works in Viticulture World, and so undoing that information and then going to Viticulture without those things might be confusing for someone. That's one of the reasons that really I debated for a long time with Mihir and Francesco about about changing the worker placement system at all, because it does make it a little more confusing for, I think, people to switch back and forth between the two. but I think they made a really good, clean, streamlined system in the end that does work. But I think that's something important to keep in mind for any designers who want to make a cooperative version of a competitive game, that it is an opportunity to make the game welcoming to new players for the first time because of that cooperative aspect, and changing the mechanisms from the core game can actually make it less welcoming to use that as an introductory game. Yeah. My thoughts there. Just my thoughts. Cameron says that his newest campaign on Kickstarter just successfully funded. Congratulations, Cameron. I'm really glad to hear that. Feel free to share a link in the comments here if you'd like. He says he's still super thankful for my blog, which I revisited a lot preparing for the new campaign. I'm glad to hear that. And speaking of the blog, some recent posts that I posted about are my Monday post this week was about the farmers market, some things I learned about bundling and upselling and kind of selling the wrong feature instead of asking questions to someone. So two positive things, and one thing I learned about how not to sell to someone at the St. Louis farmers market and in general when you're selling things. And on last Thursday, I posted a big blog post about what I've learned about, or what I learned so far at that point, about announcing Viticulture World. That's some of the things that we did differently in announcing Viticulture World, like revealing the rulebook on day one, about keeping the cooperative aspect of it secret until the announcement. Was that a mistake? Maybe not. Maybe so. I'm still learning from that right now. Things like that. So check out that post on Thursday on that subject. I also wanted to mention some campaigns that I'm backing right now. Cameron's is awesome. I also backed the new Sleeping Gods campaign on GameFound. I love Sleeping Gods, and it looks like Ryan did some really, really cool things to update the game for this completely new version of the game, even though it does use some of the core mechanisms from the original game. That looks awesome. And I bought a game. This isn't a project that I backed. I did back a game called Tug of Warriors because I love Tug of War games. That's on Kickstarter right now. And I want to do a video about my favorite trick-taking games because I'm learning a little bit more that maybe I like trick-taking games more than I thought. And someone recommended a game called Time Chase. And so I bought that recently locally, and we'll be playing that soon before I do my video about trick-taking games. I'm totally open. If you have any recommendations about trick-taking games that you love that you think are particularly innovative, let me know in the comments below. And also let me know what you are backing on crowdfunding campaigns, various crowdfunding campaigns that you're backing right now, whether it's on Kickstarter, Game on Tabletop, GameFound, places like that. Bojan says, what Stonemaier box is your cat's favorite? Biddy seems to, well, Biddy and Walter, Biddy seems to get into the boxes a little bit more than Walter. Biddy likes the square boxes the most because I think he's able to feel, I don't know how he feels in it, but he seems to gravitate towards the square boxes, and many of our boxes now are the same exact size, like the Wingspan box. He does like the Tapestry box, which is kind of the Wingspan size, but a little deeper. But yeah, he likes the square boxes for some reason. Nicholas says, can you put a crate strap for easy carrying and maybe a Stonemaier wine glass with room to hold a wine bottle? Stonemaier game wine glass like Stonemaier game's disc golf disc. Nicholas, we actually do sell Viticulture wine glasses on our web store. I think maybe right now we only do it on the US store because it's precarious to ship glass worldwide. But on the US web store, we have stemless wine glasses, my preferred style of wine glass, with Viticulture and the Viticulture logo etched into the glass itself. They're actually really nice wine glasses. We've made them for years now. And yeah, you can get them now or when you pre-order Viticulture World or the Wine Crate coming up soon. Dan is here. He says, glad to be able to watch live today. Congrats on the great response. I'm reading for Viticulture World. Dan, thank you, Dan. And Dan was very influential. He gave me some of his time a few weeks ago. Was it a few weeks ago now? It feels like a long time ago, Dan. Might have been more than a few weeks ago. But he gave me some great insights about the red and blue system, formerly Mamas and Papas, in Viticulture. In Viticulture World, which we'd already made, and also how we present that information, how we continue to evolve viticulture itself with that red and blue card system in a way that is not heteronormative, that can lead to mama and papa pairings, mama and mama pairings, and papa pairings. And so thank you, Dan, for your time and your insight there. I'm happy with the conclusions that we made to all that, and I talked about it in detail in, I believe, Sunday's Design Diary post, if anyone wants to check that out. I asked everyone what your treat of the day is, and Richard says it will be the vegan chocolate cake donuts from Glory Donuts and Diner in Frederick, Maryland. Very specific, and that sounds very delicious, Richard. Thanks for sharing. Tim says he thought that was a Rolling Realms promo for a moment. Yeah, so we use the same style of packaging for Rolling Realms for the first game, Continent, promo pack for Viticulture World. Tim says, are we getting close to the next promo pack for Rolling Realms? I think we're still probably a few months away, Tim. They're still in production. But after that, once we get moving, we're going to have them on a very regular basis from then on. I did want to mention, Tim reminds me here, that I posted yesterday on my personal blog, JameyStegmaier.com, the games that I am most excited to play at Geekway to the West. I hardly ever do lists of like games that I'm anticipating because I don't know what games are coming up 5 months from now, and I don't know when any games that I've backed on Kickstarter, GameFound, or crowdfunding, I don't know when they're going to come out. But for Geekway, I'm able to figure out some games that I want to play. And they're not all games that are, most of it is because they're games that have already been released. They're already games that are available or have been available for quite some time. So if you're curious about the types of games that I am looking forward to playing for the first time, check out my blog, JameyStegmaier.com, not the Stonemaier Games blog, for the top 10 games that I'm looking forward to playing at Geekway to the West in a few weeks. And if you are attending Geekway to the West in a few weeks, I would love, and you happen to love one of those games and already know how to play one of those games, I would love to play that game with you. Feel free to bring it or see if they have it in the Play and Win or the library at Geekway, and we can play it together. That would be the highlight of, or that is the highlight of my Geekway, when I get to play a game with someone that I only get to see at Geekway, and I get to learn a new game while doing so. Yeah. Renee says, is there a limit to 2 products as well for the wine crate and expansion? I want to order one for a friend and also see if I can order more than one while I get another promo pack. Yeah, for each one that you put into your cart, you will get a promo pack automatically. You know, I say that and I want to check to make sure. I think that's a great question for me to check now before we go live. So let me make a note about that. First game promo, auto add multiple, my shorthand notes. And I think, what is the limit on our web store right now? It's either 2 or 3 products. There is a limit to how many of each product that you can order on our web store. But whatever that limit is the limit. I'll check on the current limit. I think it is 3 right now. Yeah. Dominic says he likes the idea of a promo pack for Viticulture World. It makes it easier to add more scenarios. I would also like the idea of a promo pack for different grape cards or wine order cards. That is possible, Dominic. I guess that, yeah, we have gotten some submissions for new wine order and grape and vine cards, not grape cards, but vine cards. I haven't yet seen any that I'm really drawn to in a way that I would want to make a little promo or an expansion for them. I have gotten some good ideas, mind you. But I'm open to it. It could happen someday, but I think it'll have to come from a fan post on Board Game Geek or on the Viticulture Facebook group that really, really scratches my interest in what they've created. Yeah. Chad always has great book recommendations. So Arnie, I think, was asking about book recommendations earlier. He says he just read Devolution by Max Brooks, and a really good book. And he says he read Neil deGrasse Tyson's Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. It's a mind-blowing, fast, and easy read. I love your recommendations, Chad, so I got to write these down. Devolution, like evolution with a D, or evolution with a D, devolution, and Astro for People in a Hurry. Awesome. Thanks for those recommendations. Let me know if anyone else is reading a great book right now. Let me know. I'm reading a book that I can't remember the title of, so let me look it up on Amazon to see what the name is. I read on a Kindle, so I can always look up what books I'm reading right now. My digital orders, I am reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is kind of a twist on Beauty and the Beast a little bit. And it's pretty good. It's quite good. Yeah, it's a 4-book series, and I just started the first book, or I didn't start the first book. I'm about 70% of the way through the first book, and I am enjoying it quite a bit. I kind of wish it was. I have a couple other series that I want to get back to right now, and so I kind of wish it wasn't a 4-book series. But maybe I can put it on hold after the 4th book and then come back to it later. We'll see about that. It's a fast read too, so it might be a library rental in the future too. Arnie says, I saw Euphoria is available on the U.S. web store, but not on the other ones. Are they on their way to Europe, or they won't be restocked in Europe? I think they might be on the way to Europe right now. Yes, actually, I know they are, because we did have some left in stock. We're running low everywhere on Euphoria, but I think we do have some more on their way now, but it'll probably be another few weeks. it kind of slipped off our radar that we had run out of stock there, and then it takes a few weeks to get it back in stock because we have to ship from the U.S. to our web store in the UK. So sorry about that. We missed that, but it will be back in stock. Just enter your email on the back in stock notification request on that product page, and we'll let you know when it arrives. Tim says the Batman is on HBO Max now. If you're a Dark Knight fan, I actually saw the Batman in the theater. It's one of the 2 movies I've seen in the theater over the last 2 years, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, really, really great movie. I didn't know it was on HBO Max already though. Over the weekend, we watched King Richard. King Richard is the story of... We watched something else that I'm forgetting too. King Richard is the story of Venus and Serena Williams and their father, the tennis superstars, and how they became tennis superstars. It was a really, really incredible movie that I enjoyed quite a bit. We also watched a romantic comedy called The Hating Game, which was pretty good. It has a movie trope in it that I don't generally enjoy, that I would like to see retired. The Darcy movie trope. I wrote a blog post about that the other day, but in general, it's a decent romantic comedy if you're looking for a fairly new romantic comedy. Craig says, I realize right now you are focusing in on Viticulture World, but when do you think details of the next Wingspan expansion will start coming out? We've estimated that it will be ready in Q4 of this year. So that's October, November, or December. So that's around the time that I'll start revealing the details of it. However, there might be, I might reveal a little bit early. So you'll have to bear with me here a little bit. One thing that I'm considering is to start revealing a few cards, 1 card at a time from the new expansion, which would also reveal the location of that expansion in monthly e-newsletters. The reason I'm asking you to bear with me with this experiment is I'm going to test this method of revealing these cards with the mutual agreement that we'll have to have that that's all I'm going to talk about. That's all I'm going to reveal. I'm going to reveal a card, and that'll be the information that you have. I'm not going to answer other questions about the expansion. I'm not going to talk about any other aspects of it. I'm just going to reveal a card, and you can talk about it as you wish. And I think if we can, I'm talking to the Wingspan fans of the world right now. If that sounds fun to you, even though I won't reveal any other information until the expansion is much closer to actually arriving, then I might do that in the future as well. So we'll see how that works out of just revealing 1 card a month in a monthly e-newsletter and seeing how that goes. Yeah. Joe says, is there an ETA on restock for the Stonemaier disc golf discs? Yes, Joe, they are actually back in stock today. You should have gotten a back in stock notification if you signed up for it, so maybe check your spam. But either way, you can go to the US web store, and the disc golf discs are back in stock today. You can order them today. They'll take some time to ship to our other fulfillment centers, but they are back. It looks like people are definitely ordering them. So go get them if you want some discs. We can always make more, of course. So if you go to the web store and you find that the disc that you want is already sold out, please enter your email for a back in stock notification so we can make more of it and know which disc to make more of. That is super, super helpful for us. Justin says he saw a new playmat for Red Rising really quick. Yes, Justin, we are making a double stitched playmat for Red Rising, a neoprene mat. And yeah, it's in the works right now. You can go back in the video, I think, and see it where I held it up earlier. I already put it back in the tube. Ignacio says, will there be a reprint of base Viticulture and Tuscany in Spanish? I can really only speak to the English version, Ignacio. But if you ask Maldito, they'll be able to let you know. As for the English version, we have kept it in stock. We are constantly reprinting those expansions in that core game, but we have it in stock. We will have it in stock for the pre-order, but Maldito will have to speak to the Spanish version. Yeah. Cameron says, for Northwood, looks interesting. I know you're not usually a solo player, but a solo trick-taking game seems really fascinating. Yeah, I saw an announcement about that, Cameron, and I am intrigued about how you can do a solo trick-taking game. That is really intriguing. Tim says, Tim is getting Boon Lake to play with me. Oh, I'm honored, Tim, that you got Boon Lake to play specifically with me at Geekway to the West. I can't wait to try that. It will be one of the heavier, longer games. I did realize that I forgot to put Dead Reckoning on that list, and so I added it to the list yesterday, but Dead Reckoning is definitely one that I want to play at Geekway to the West for the first time, if I can. Justin says, a great little trick-taking game that I love is called Ilamat. It's based on ideas from a band called the Decemberists. I love the Decemberists. They're gamers. I think they actually played some of our games on tour. Euphoria and Scythe, maybe. They've played on tour and posted about it. Justin says, if I remember the story correctly, they filmed a music video with a fake board game and someone designed a very good trick-taking game around it. Illimet. I'll check that out. Illimet. Nicholas says, have I tried suction cups instead of neoprene for card pickup? Suction cup Nerf bullets work like a dream. Have I found green neoprene yet? I do have good news. I haven't tried the suction cup idea, although I do love the little plunger found in the Rise of Queensdale. I did ask Panda about the eco-friendliness of the neoprene mats that they make, and it actually is a lot more eco-friendly than I thought, because these mats are made from rubber, and rubber is made from trees. Trees are a wonderfully renewable resource if they're forested sustainably, as are the trees that Panda uses. So neoprene playmats are actually a lot more eco-friendly than I thought. Probably not perfect. There's plenty of chemicals that go into these things. I can smell them right now, but that might just be the new rubber smell. But yeah, more eco-friendly than I thought. Phil says, when I have a number of promo realms for Rolling Realms release, will you be releasing the first few as a set, slightly discounted from buying individually? We don't have any plans to do them as a set, Phil, but I am open to discounting them on an ongoing basis. So they're always discounted for champions. They're always discounted when we initially release them. And maybe one thing I will do is every time we release a new promo pack, I will discount all of them. That's a lot of discounting to do. Don't hold me to that, because that's a lot of products to go through and discount, but maybe that could be the plan, that every time I offer a new one, if you decide that's the time that you want to get a few of them, then you can know that you can get all of them at a discount. I'm not going to commit to that, but that sounds, as I'm talking out loud, like a reasonable plan for me and you. And then on an ongoing basis, they'll be just discounted with a champion discount. Yeah, maybe that's a plan. Let me know what you think about that plan. Yannick says, which came first, Scythe or Iron Harvest? Scythe by far, way by far. Iron Harvest came years after I designed Scythe. Working with Jakob Brzezowski back in 2014 is when I designed Scythe. Iron Harvest I don't think came out until maybe a year or so ago. But Iron Harvest was inspired by Scythe itself, and hopefully they talk about that on their website. I know they're very different games, and both are really tied back to Jakob's 1920 plus world. But yeah. That's sorry, just got a text, wanted to make sure it wasn't someone watching this and saying, hey, Jamey, like you're not wearing pants or something like that. But yeah, Scythe came way before Iron Harvest. Carlos says he just read today's Design Diary post about Viticulture World, and he has two questions. One, the co-op game that Mahir and Francesco designed is going to be developed by Stonemaier Games. Yes, Mahir mentioned that he and Francesco are now working on a cooperative game together. I don't know anything about that game yet. They're welcome to submit it to us, and maybe we can consider publishing it. But I don't know anything about that game yet. I don't think it has a publisher that I'm aware of. And you talk about the first game promo pack, and it seems that you could have some fun releasing promo packs for other worlds in Stonemaier games. Is that something you might consider? So releasing promo packs for other worlds and super. Oh, I see. So doing instead of like we're doing the Green Gully continent for Viticulture World, that we could do a new continent based in the worlds of one of our other games. That certainly is possible. I know how much work Mahir and Francesco put into creating these continents. Each one is very unique and different from the next, and yet still also very easy to learn and get to the table and play. So I would say it's largely up to them, and maybe some fans too. If fans of other games, Scythe is a tough one because there's an IP there. Red Rising is a tough one. There's an IP there. Green Gully was the easy one because that's my IP. That's our IP. But maybe Euphoria. Euphoria could be cool. We could do a Euphoria, even though Euphoria is based on the real world. It's Euphoria is a possibility to do a Euphoria region or continent. It's not really a continent, but yeah, that's possible. We'll see what fans create, or if Mahir and Francesco create something cool someday. Kevin says, have I already shown the future playmat for Tapestry, or is that still in the works? I did show a little while ago. I showed what it looked like, what the first version of it looked like. But the feedback I got was that people really wanted places for the cards on the mat. So the first version was just literally the Tapestry board, double-sided board, without anything special. And we have since gone and we're adding slots for the cards on it. And I haven't shown that one yet because I don't have samples for you yet. But when I get it, I will show samples of that one. Tim says he released a science fiction poetic novella titled Welcome Home, Andromeda this past Monday on his birthday. I must have missed that, Tim. That's awesome. Let me know. Feel free to post a link down below, Tim, where people can buy Welcome Home, Andromeda. a science fiction poetic novella. I'm very curious about what a poetic novella is. Nancy Jane also recommends the audiobook version of Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. I have to make a note about that. I found that I mostly listen to podcasts when I'm working out, and a variety of podcasts, some about gaming, some humorous, some informational. And I need to start doing audiobooks for that too, because that's a great time. That's like 30 minutes every day where I can get in an audiobook of a factual audiobook, nonfiction audiobooks, because I found that I can't read nonfiction at night when I typically read, or I won't fall asleep. It'll turn on my brain instead of turn off my brain. But when I'm working out, that's when I want my brain turned on. And so, yeah, that's a long answer to this. But Nancy Jane, thank you for recommending the audiobook of this. I'll make a note about that. Michael says, what were the most interesting things that came up during development and playtesting to shape the existing game into a cooperative game with some different mechanisms? That's a great question, Michael. I think a lot of that is answered in the design diaries. That might be better answered by Mihir and Francesco directly. But I should note that it wasn't like they started to design a game and then we made it, or an expansion and we made it cooperative later. From the ground up, it was a cooperative expansion. And yeah, so for the ground, they were basically working around the idea that this was going to be cooperative, and it was going to be an asymmetric cooperative, or kind of a scenario-driven cooperative game where you have different continents that you're competing against, similar to Spirit Island. Mahir has some notes about this. I'm trying to think offhand what he has talked about in terms of the elements that changed in the kind of the core viticulture rules that changed to make it work here. The main one that comes to mind is the worker placement, and I think the idea was they saw it as a necessity for players to get more workers to really compete in the Viticulture World model. And so that's when they realized, hey, let's just give players the workers. And then let's add another element of what it means. It means something different to train a worker in Viticulture World. That's where these cute little rubber hats come in. All workers start out with these hats. You start with 2 summer workers and 2 winter workers, and you can train them to take off these hats. And when you take off the hats, they become a trained worker that can be used in either season, and that's when they start getting the bonuses from the board, if you have some bonus action spaces on the board. So that's one of the things. Maybe Mahir and Francisco can answer that in the comments below as well. Let's see. Tim says, would I consider a Stonemaier bag for the discs? Maybe, Tim. That's really getting into the disc golf business, which is beyond where I want to go right now. So I would say probably not. It's an interesting idea to have a bag, ideally a bag that could hold games or discs. That would be cool. But there are companies that just specialize in making bags. It isn't something that we can just throw together. And I feel like our priorities are better focused elsewhere. But it's a neat idea, and maybe we'll see someone create something like that in their Etsy store or something like that. There are plenty of also bags that you can get for disc golf discs that are designed specifically for it. I have a shoulder bag that I use that holds 8 discs. Megan has also a shoulder bag that's a little bigger that holds 12 discs. And a lot of disc golfers have a giant backpack that can hold like 25 discs. George says, I know this does not make sense, but can you order from the US shop from the EU, or the system automatically transfers you to the EU shop if you try to? The US shop does not ship to the EU. So even if you got through to that web store and put stuff in your cart, it would not let you ship to the EU. If you want to order to the EU, you need to order from the UK store. Yeah. Which is EU friendly. The UK store is EU friendly, even though the UK is no longer in the EU. Austin says, if you don't want to reveal the bird, just share the bottom half of the card. I get we'll be missing something, but it gives us enough of the taste. Austin, Austin's referring to the idea that I'm presenting of showing a bird card from the Wingspan expansion once a month. And Austin, the key is I'm happy to show the bird card. I'm happy to show the full bird card. What I don't want it to turn into is, okay, Jamey, you've revealed this one thing. Now we're going to pepper you with questions about every other aspect of the expansion. I don't want it to get into that. So there's going to have to be some mutual respect here that I'll show you a fun teaser and give you information about the expansion through that card that you can infer. But you can respect our marketing and communication by waiting until I reveal the rest of the information much closer to the official announcement, or when I do the official announcement for the expansion. So if we can do that together, it could be really cool. It could be really, really cool, and we can see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. It'll be a little bit of an experiment there. I also do want to mention that there's a conversation happening right now in the Wingspan Facebook group where I have semi-revealed that we are working on a way for people who are visually impaired or often play Wingspan in low light and have a hard time reading the mechanical text on the cards and the icons on the cards. We are probably, almost definitely, going to make a pack of cards, starting with a core game. So, core game pack of cards that has large print on it. So, large mechanical print, better contrast, easier to see in low lighting, or if you have some, if you don't have perfect vision, basically. So we are working on that, and I'm getting feedback in that thread on Wingspan right now. Feel free to toss feedback at me during this thread as well. The key, though, to make this work is that we are going on these specific cards, this large print pack, we'll call it maybe. We're going to remove the flavor text, the bird facts at the bottom of the cards for two reasons. One, I think oftentimes when people say, I can't read the text on the cards, it's because they're trying to read that flavor text, and you don't need to be able to read that flavor text to play Wingspan. So that's part of it. The other part is, by removing that, we can make more room for the mechanical text, the important part, and therefore have more room to offer bigger text. Why not offer bigger cards? Because that changes a lot. Offering bigger cards is a graphic design nightmare. We can't just make every card a little bit bigger, and the cards will no longer fit on the player mats, and so we have to make the player mats bigger then too, and the player mats don't fit into the box, so we're not doing that. We're going to keep the same card size, but expand that box by removing the bird facts at the bottom of the card. We're also going to add more contrast to the icons on the left side and the wingspan, and make the wingspan maybe a little bit bigger as well, the wingspan number. I think that's everything that we're working on so far. But yeah, those are the concepts that we're working on for kind of a large print version of the Wingspan cards by themselves, and we would offer that as an a la carte product on our web store. This will not be a change in the core Wingspan box or any of the expansions. A lot of information there. Let me go back to questions. I'm 10 minutes behind on questions. Julie says, is there a game mechanism that you have never incorporated into a game but would like to plan to eventually include in a game? And yeah, actually two. I really love Tug of War, and I also love I Cut You Choose, or I Price You Choose. And I don't think I have included one as a core mechanism in a game yet. Trishul says, is a new print of Scythe modular boards on the horizon with any graphic updates? We do have a new print run of the modular boards in the works. It'll probably be ready for Q4 2022. And there are a few like little things on the board that we adjusted for clarity, but no big adjustments. I think we added some borders to show you which locations, which hexes, which territories inside have tunnels on them. And there were a few things that got slightly misaligned on the original modular board. We've adjusted that misalignment a little bit. Sean asked, I'm not wearing pants. No, I am wearing pants. I am wearing pants today. I always wear pants. Although I work from home. I'm on camera enough that I always need to wear pants just in case. Susanna is here, our retail relationship manager. She says, do you know Ricky Royal's channel Box of Delights? I do. He says he just did a fantastic solo Scythe series. I always learn from watching him. I would enjoy an interview between you two. That's awesome, Susanna. I think I follow Ricky's channel, although he focuses so much on solo and playthroughs that I don't really play solo. So I don't know if I follow it all that closely, but I'm glad that you enjoyed his channel. It might be wonderful to see an interview between him and Morton, who runs Automa Factory, because they could really get into the weeds of talking about solo modes. And there might actually search for Morton's name on his channel. It's possible that they have had an interview at some point in time. That would be really cool to watch or listen to. Trishul says, how many new game designs do you receive every month for publishing consideration? I believe it's somewhere in the range of 100 to 200 submissions that we get every month. Yeah. Nicholas says, I missed the Jamey Wants to Play post. Can you have your editor put it in the description of the YouTube video, or maybe these other blogs? What is the Darcy movie trope? So Nicholas, go to jamiestegmeyer.com and you'll see the current post, which is the games that I want to play at Geekway. And if you go back a few days, you can see the post about the hating game. The Darcy movie trope, Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, is when you have a character, typically a male lead, a love interest male lead, who is a jerk for most of the movie, like an uncommunicative jerk for most of the movie. And then at the end of the movie, it's revealed that, oh, he's actually been doing some good stuff behind the scenes. I think you can do good stuff behind the scenes or good stuff for people without being an incommunicative jerk. And it's a trope that I would like to see go away from romantic comedies. It's one that I generally do not like because I want to like both of the leads in any romantic comedy. And that's one there are lots of good things also to pull from Pride and Prejudice that are not that trope. And yeah, so just a little personal preference there. I feel strongly about romantic comedies. I love romantic comedies, so I feel strongly about them. Chad says, have I ever considered making a dual layered player board by stacking 2 punch boards? The top board could have component holes, then use the plastic grommets in the 4 corners, the same grommets that you would use on a dial. That's interesting, Chad. I haven't really considered that. It would add plastic to a game, but it would probably decrease the cost a little bit of doing dual layered mats. Yeah, I think that's an interesting solution. Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't considered doing that. He says dual layers have a tendency to warp. They do. I feel like manufacturers have gotten better at that over the years. I think even Scythe has gotten much better at that warping over the years based on like the density of the cardboard and how it's glued, all that stuff. Donna says, can we see the meeples with the hats? How easy do they go on and stay on? I don't have any meeples handy here, Donna. I'm sorry. I only have the hats easily. But they are rubber. They're rubber. They go on and they remove very easily. Although we designed them so that if you pick up the hat by itself, the worker comes with it. So it's not so easily pulled off that the worker just drops off the hat when you put it on. They do go on really, really well. I'm sorry I don't have that handy. Thank you, Tim, for sharing Welcome Home Andromeda here on the link. He released that on his birthday just a few days ago. Sean says, when I played Clank Legacy, did your group play cooperatively? We've had 2 games that people scored 0 and that hurts. We're trying to play cooperative, at least now. So Clank Legacy is a competitive game, but you can choose to work together with the other players to accomplish a number of different things. I really like how Clank Legacy pulls off that competitive element with the feeling of being cooperative with other players. And we did generally try to help each other. We were working together towards the same goals, even though we were still competing against each other to have the most money at the end of each game of Clank Legacy. Yeah. Speaking of which, a little bit, my video this past weekend, what was it about? I did a video on Evergreen games. So I did a blog post recently about Evergreen games, and my video this past weekend on Sunday was about Evergreen games as well. Kind of going over my top 10 favorite Evergreen games from the games that I determined from a formula and from the data available that are Evergreen. There are some big games that were not on that list. Even Magic wasn't on that list, even though Magic is definitely Evergreen, just because it wasn't covered under the sales reports that I used to determine what is an Evergreen game. So not the most comprehensive version of that formula, but something to start with, to start the conversation. Justin says he just got a Kickstarter delivery. He says he got Hidden Leaders by BFF Games. I think you like tug of war games, yes? Have I heard of this game? I think I have heard of it, but I did not back it. I don't know much about it, Justin. Let me know what you think after you play it. Okay, Mahir has an answer about the cooperative play. He says, when I thought about the theme of this cooperative version, that is, players are new into the wine business and working together to collectively increase the reputation and influence of their wine estate. Now, since players have entered into the wine business, it just made sense if players do not have full-time workers to start with in their new business, and then everything kept growing from there. So from the theme up, Mihir was working from the theme. I love working from the theme up. That's really cool. Wayne says, how did you come up with the Grande Meeple? What was his inspiration? So the Grande Meeple, I invented way back in 2012, before the original Kickstarter for Viticulture. I cannot remember the inspiration, Wayne. I think it was... Actually, I don't remember if there was another game that had a Grande Meeple at the time. The Grande Meeple in Viticulture is the meeple that you can place on an action, even if the action spaces are full. It gives you kind of a back door into any action. And at the time... trying to think here, because the games that were influencing me at the time were mostly were Stone Age and Agricola and Fresco, and none of those had Grande workers. So I think, I don't know, it may have been the first of its type. Feel free to correct me on that. If you can think of another cooperative game that, or not cooperative game, another worker placement game that had a Grande worker mechanism before Viticulture, let me know. But I think it was just something that I thought of because I wanted to give players a way to get in on an action that they didn't have access to, that they really, really wanted access to. It made the game more fun to have that choice of when to use the Grande and which action to use it on. Jerry says, just saw your favorite mechanism video for Sleeping Gods from a year ago. You mentioned that you're working on an open world game yourself. Any update on this game? Thanks, Jerry, for being curious about that. Yeah, so I did have an update about this a few months ago where I said that my open world game is massive. It's an open world cooperative exploration game. It is a massive, massive game, much bigger than I ever thought it would be. And I've been designing it for like 5 years now. And so I kind of said this year, enough is enough. I will finish designing the game in 2022. And that means that it will probably be published in 2023 or early 2024. We will see if that holds true. But that is my commitment to at least finish the design in 2022. I think you'll understand a lot more about how big this game is and how hard it was to design, why it took so long when I start to officially reveal information about it. Yeah. But for now, I appreciate your curiosity. That gives me a good drive to keep going on it, although I have fun every time I sit down to work on it. Let's see, I missed a few topics today. I talked about the Red Rising mat. Oh, I wanted to ask you all before I go. Card sleeves. So there aren't many games where we want card sleeves in the games, or where we feel that we need them. We usually try to use pretty high quality cards. I understand if you sleeve cards, no harm in that, but it's just something that I think isn't. I don't personally do it unless it's a deck building game that I play a lot. But if we were to make card sleeves ever for a game, for one of our games, would you prefer clear sleeves on both sides, or would you prefer card sleeves that have a printed back on them? I found that those are much more expensive to make. I would prefer not to do that, but I kind of get why some people like that because it makes a consistency of card backs. It means that if you have a core game and an expansion and the card backs are slightly different tones, having a card sleeve that isn't clear on the back can create a consistent back for all those cards. So let me know if you have a strong preference when you buy card sleeves, especially for a specific game. Are you okay with decent quality card sleeves that are clear on both sides, or do you greatly prefer for there to be a design printed on the backside that is thematic and unique to that specific game? David says, is putting hats on meeples a common game element? He says, I first saw it a few months ago in the new Great Western Trail, but this is the first time I've seen it to be a game mechanism. I feel like changing your meeple opens up a bunch of interesting mechanics. There are some games that have meeples that change over time, but hats on meeples as a mechanism, it's just aesthetic in Great Western Trail, but it is a mechanism in Viticulture World. I don't think it's all that common, but maybe Mahir can mention some other things that maybe inspired him in the comments below about that. So George says he likes printed backs. Here, we're getting some answers here. George says printed. Justin says clear. Donna says clear, as long as they're not super thin. Yeah, we wouldn't go super thin. We wouldn't also go super thick. We'd go somewhere in between. Krista says clear. Nancy Jane likes clear matte sleeves. So matte, not. So I need to make sure. I do like matte sleeves, not glossy. Matte sleeves. Chris says clear. Chad says clear. Trishul says clear. Joshua says, as long as the printed back does not easily peel off, he's okay with it. Navia says printed back if they offer alternate or new art on the back of the sleeve. Dominic says clear. Andrew says clear. Also says matte. Joshua says matte. Molly says she doesn't sleeve cards, but if I did, I would probably want clear. And she mentions the other X factor here is the environmentally friendly nature of that. So yeah, sleeves are inherently made of plastic, and so inherently not environmentally friendly. So that's why I haven't considered really making sleeves for any of our games. But there is a game that I'm working on that would probably benefit from having sleeves as an optional add-on. And that's why I'm thinking about the custom back a little bit. That if people really wanted that, it would make if we're making an offering sleeves for a specific game, then that would be the time to do it. But we can definitely offer them more cost effectively if they are clear on both sides. Yeah. Oh, Junie is here to share that that Libertalia Winds of Galecrest, the tutorial is now available. The interactive tutorial from Dized is now available for Libertalia. So if you are looking to play Libertalia Winds of Galecrest for the first time, or you're trying to remember how to play, if you haven't played it in a few weeks, it hasn't been out for that long, but feel free to check out the Dized tutorial. Thank you, Junie, for adding that link. So most people are saying clear here. I see a few people are saying they like printed backs, but most is clear. Donna says that she used the Dized tutorial for Libertalia Winds of Galecrest, and she says it was amazing. Yeah. What else do I have to talk about today? Viticulture. I've talked about Viticulture World. Not all that much because a lot of the information there is in the design diary post. But I'm happy to share anything that you want to see. Talked about the this. I haven't really showed you up close. Here's the influence token and the event reminder token. So you use this token if there's a card for the current, like an event card that says if you put a worker on the fill a wine order action this year, gain an extra victory point. You can put this token there, or you're supposed to put this token there to remind you to do that. So kind of a way to remember what the ongoing benefits are, the ongoing triggers in the game. What else? Disc golf discs are back in stock. Oh yes, big thing here. We are testing what we're calling kind of the final adjustments for Tapestry Civilizations. And we have the first version of those adjustments, or the latest version of them, on Board Game Arena right now. So if you go play the core game of Tapestry on Board Game Arena, you can select an option that says, I don't remember exactly what it's called. Let's see if we can find it real quick. There's an option, this should be obvious that it's Civ Adjustments. It's called, I can't remember the name right now, but there is an option to choose the testing options for adjusting the options for choosing the adjusted civilizations. You can choose that on Board Game Arena right now, and the data that you submit for that will be super helpful for us. So please play Tapestry on Board Game Arena with those adjustments in the near future so we can get that data. What else? A few other topics here. Some games I played recently. I've actually played a lot of games. I played Savannah Park a couple times. Played Walking in Burano. I played Phantom Inc., all three of which I'll talk about on my channel in the next week or so. Also played Sleepy Hollow. I got this to the table back in the Kickstarter many years ago. I'm going to do a video about this. This is from local publisher Greater Than Games. Talk about that soon as well. And I think that's actually, I have also been working on game design. I will probably get in a playtest today. I'm looking forward to doing that. You can see Walter in the background there. If you've been wondering which cat that is, that's Floofy Walter. Walter, thanks for joining us today. Let's see, one more question to end it up. Mario says, do you expect to have more Tapestry expansions in the future? It is possible that we will have maybe one final Tapestry expansion, Mario. We haven't officially announced it, if we're doing it or not, but it is possible that we might do that. Right now, we're just focusing on those final kind of adjustments, and we're kind of being really careful with the data that if we do make another final expansion, that the adjustments will still be relevant and final. If we do, because we're doing these adjustments to essentially reprint any civilizations that need adjustments, rather than having a separate guide that you can look at whenever you sit down to play a game of Tapestry. Chad says, if you like gaming tees, you should check out Keymaster Games. They have great Parks tees and great Canvas tees. Oh, cool. I didn't know about that from Keymaster. I do love Parks from Keymaster, at lower player counts in particular. Donna also says, have I played the new Azul Queen's Garden? I have not played that yet. Summer Pavilion is my favorite. Here we go, Mark clarified on Board Game Arena. It's with experimental adjustments. Yeah, so that's the setting that you need for Tapestry on Board Game Arena. And George reminded me that this afternoon, probably early afternoon, maybe 12:30, I will do round 3 of game 23 of Rolling Realms. That'll be this afternoon on the Rolling Realms Facebook group. We're going to do Euphoria, Rolling Realms, which if you don't have this promo, you can substitute another card for it, and Pendulum. This will be round 3 today for the Rolling Realms live play. Thank you all so much for joining me for this chat today. It was wonderful talking with you and getting your input, your feedback. This is always awesome. I always enjoy it. I will see you next Wednesday, and you can check in over the next few days for the last few Design Diary posts for Viticulture World. Take care. Oh, and Mario, one last question. Mario says, so I have a list of themes that I prefer or not prefer when planning future publications. On our submissions page, I do have some themes that I don't gravitate towards, and any other theme is kind of fair game. All right, take care. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.